96.5 CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station.
One man to beat, you can forget about it. Touchdown, Alabama.
Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick you, and our running back coach didn't take the biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show can also be listened to and viewed on the Martin Houston Radio Network on social media. Go check out Martin Houston fan page. Like it, share it. Tell your family and friends about it. Also follow at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter. Remember that this is a day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Have a great show lined up for you. It's a Wildcard Wednesday, so we can talk about any and everything that may be on your mind today related to Alabama football, what's surrounding the Alabama football program. The SEC, as well as just college football in general. So we'd love to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline, live, local, ready for business, ready to take your call. And you can always interact with us via chat from the various outlets and let us know what's on your mind. So looking forward to having you and having a great conversation and dialogue with you. We'll also end today's program with an encouraging word and challenging word from Executive Director Scotty Hollins with the Christian Moment of the Week, empowered by Empowerment Ministries, presenter of Awakening Service, which happens the third Thursday of every month. All right, let's get things rolling. Good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you this morning?
Doing well. Talk about a bunch of different things. Of course, Jimbo Fisher. I think he tried to insinuate that the Bells got him. X. That the Bells got him. We can talk about whether or not the Bells are a nuisance and impacting the game and whether they should do it. Hey, listen, he said that they got some issues. Is Jimbo and Saban a lot alike? They seem to have had the same press conference regarding their starting quarterbacks. Also, there's I'm looking on the Tide 109 app, and what I'm looking at right now, Alabama Student Coalition want Dixie removed from Yay Alabama Fight song because it's racist and divisive and all of that. So we can talk about that.
So we're not going to sing Dixieland Delight anymore?
Well, they want Dixie removed because it's not inclusive and doesn't it's gonna leave a bad taste in people's mouth and all of that stuff. So yes, the craziest.
I feel you, and I get what you're saying. But Alabama's trademark song to sing after a win Dixieland delight.
Yeah, so it's
So
crazy.
we cut out that. We need to cut it all out.
Yeah. So it's really sad that everything, even though some things, and I'll say, did whoever wrote that may have intended it to be racist or whatever. I have no idea. But are the people who are singing that song at the end of the Alabama football game, are they singing that song to be racist? Has anyone had anyone thought of that song being racist? Are the people in the stands making that song racist and in their minds thinking about the pride of the South and the whole we don't want black people? Well, let me tell you something. They better quit singing it over this Alabama football team because unless you have, let me see, and I haven't talked about this, but, and I think this is the first time ever before Seth McLaughlin broke into the starting lineup, everybody on the field were people of color, and almost all of them were of African American descent, with the exception of Latu on the offensive side. I know what I'm saying. On the offensive side of the ball, that's on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
I think there's been times where we've had all people of color on the defensive side of the ball. We've never had 5 black offensive linemen starting at one time. And it's so if that is the case, then it's an interesting. I've always said football is the great barrier breaker, and you can take a redneck from the hills of Sand Mountain and take an African American from whichever part of the country you want or the state of Alabama you want. You can put them side by side in the stands, and when that jersey that bleeds crimson takes off down the sideline, they're hugging, slapping, high five, etc. Now, what they do outside of that stadium, it might be totally different. But I just thought that was interesting, interesting concept. So, Joe, have you had to deal with this yet? And what were kind of the sentiments of the people? And did you have any diversity in your callers and opinions, sir?
Oh, well, we talked about it pretty much the entire show yesterday, due to what came out on the Crimson White, and then DC Daniel writing about it for 95.3 The Bear and Todd 109, and we had some diversity in the callers, not a ton. Most of the callers were very ardent in defending your Dixie's football pride, Crimson Tide, roll Tide. Instead of the argument or the discussion is to change it to your Bama's football pride. But I don't know. I kind of am with you, Martin, and now I recognize that I come from a white upbringing that probably doesn't have the same background and have the same, well, not probably, it doesn't have the same background and doesn't have the same experiences that you or your son or African Americans in general have. So when I sing that song, I honestly don't think anything of the word Dixie, and maybe that's ignorance, maybe that's privilege, maybe that's just keeping it. I don't know. There's no emotion behind that word for me. It's kind of just a different term for the South, a different term for a geographical region. Now,
yeah,
go ahead.
That's really what it is, though.
Here. Let me tell you what was the purpose of. This is what a lot of people don't know. Now, yes, does Alabama football have, and the University of Alabama has some racist lineage? Absolutely. I mean, my high school trigonometry teacher was a cheerleader standing over in a window looking down when Wallace stood on the door and said, "Blacks will never come into the university." Think about that for a second, Joe. My trigonometry teacher, the teacher who taught me every day, literally eyewitnessed it saying blacks would never come there. And guess who was my biggest advocate for getting me and hoping that I would go to the University of Alabama. The one who saw that, right? So that tells you not everybody felt that way then. And Coach Bryant, could Coach Bryant have possibly pushed and got African Americans in sooner? Probably so, but he did do some things, and I think to this day I will believe that the USC setup between him and John McKay was part of that process of him doing that and breaking those barriers. With that said, there are some issues, absolutely. But but when I look at it, I'm going, do people know how the rest of the country looked at Alabama football? I mean, looked at football and people in the South. Not forget whether you were black or white. The rest of the country used to look at Alabama in the South as far as not from the way they treated people only, but from our education standpoint, from our literacy standpoint. You see what I'm saying? From our intellect standpoint, the South was viewed as less than. And I'm talking about after we started playing and stuff like that. And so when Alabama used to go out and play, they still, Joe, even after what we did against the USCs of the world back in the Rose Bowl days, still view football in the South as what? A joke. And so it was as much about that as it was anything. Let me give you a great example. When I went up to Pittsburgh, Joe, I woke up one morning to a commercial, and it said, "You just pulled an Alabamian." You know what they were saying?
Did something stupid.
That Alabama people were stupid, and so part of that Dixieland Delight, the people who are singing that, man, they're not thinking. There may be some. There may be some that think that way, but most of the people that are singing that, and especially young folk,
every student on that campus,
singing
about Alabama being the pride of the South when it comes to football. Alabama across the Southern region, nobody else compares. You can stack multiple programs together, and they don't compare. Yeah. That is simply the Dixie whatever is talking about the South, the Mason-Dixon line. Everything south of that is Dixieland, the South. That's all it is. It has nothing to do with color, nothing to do with race. Maybe it did back then. Yeah. But in 2022, in my 31 years, it has nothing to do with race.
Yeah. And listen, and if it does, for those who does, so tough world for them to live in. The world is moving on past them. And sometimes I think that we make things worse by always going back, trying to you ever seen a bruise, Joe? You know what happened? And it looks like it's gone until somebody hits it again and it pops right back up because it doesn't completely heal. We can't heal because we refuse to look at where we are. Let's look at how we move forward, not always looking back. Removing that. Okay, let's wake up and this Saturday is Bama Delight. Tell me what's going to be different if I'm an unincluded person. Let's say they get what they want. I'm an unincluded person, and I'm at the Alabama football game, and I have not read this article. Okay, Joe, I've not read this article. I'm a person of color. I'm an African American. I'm whatever. I know nothing about this thing, and that song plays, and I love Alabama. What do you think I'm gonna do when that song comes on?
You're gonna sing "It's Dixie's Football Pride," and then you're gonna look around and say, "Wait, what happened?"
You'll be the only one saying. You should have said like that's what's great. And if everybody sings that song, what's gonna be different for me moving forward? What's gonna be different about my life? What's gonna be different about my circumstance? You know, how do I start every show, Joe? This is the day the Lord has made, and we're going to rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, and notice someone. Be the difference you want to see in the world today. Stop worrying about changing all of these monuments and different things and start changing who you are. If all of these people who are out there who say they want all of these changes would daily notice one individual each and every day, make it their mission, we begin to see the world change one person at a time. Joe, if you change and touch, if I give you a penny today, and in 30 days I give you a penny today, and in 30 days, if I take a penny today and I double it tomorrow, and then those 2 pennies become 4 the next day, and those become 8 the next day, in like a 30-year window, there's like 30 million people, 30 million pennies. $30 million. Okay, so wouldn't that say the same thing if every day all these people who say they want to be difference makers and changers, if they would all individually every single day find someone opposite, different from them, that needs to be supported, needs to be encouraged, needs to be inspired, needs to be empowered, needs to be helped. If they would all do that every day and just pick one person, you could see that one person doubling that up every day, 30 million a month in a year, 360 million people. That kind of covers the United States of America, doesn't it? So in 1 year, if we doubled every single day for the rest of the year, started over each month, all of a sudden we'd see a difference in America. So anyway, let's get the break here. If you just tuning in, you're like, hey, what's going on? I can't talk football. It's a Wildcard Wednesday, and the Dixieland Delight conversation is open and around the Alabama football program. I don't think it matters. I don't think it means anything. I don't think anything in the world is going to change. I don't think anybody's going to be different. And I think the song will probably lose some of its luster and its impact of singing over our defeated enemy and uniting the Bama Nation behind it. I could care less if it's. I don't care if it's changed. I don't see why it should change at this point. But that's my thought. Hey, if you have a different thought or opinion, you're welcome to do that. We're also talking about Jimbo Fisher making weak excuses that the Bells got him over there in Stark Vegas. And what about this Alabama team heading into this game? Do they need some motivation because of the lack of performance by the Texas A&M Aggies? Did Jimbo's statements actually pay dividends to help this team be focused for Saturday? We'll talk about that and more right here on the Martin Houston Show. And you're welcome to join us on the Alabama One hotline at 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Everything pretty quiet as we start this Wednesday morning. Of course, if you do see conditions folks need to hear about, just give me a call, 205-886-8886. Business is booming at Townsend Nissan, and they need help. If you're a people person, go see BJ or Kalen at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Hey there, folks. Head fry cook Bob Baumhauer here, and I just want to say thank you for allowing Baumhauer's Victory Grill to serve you for 40 legendary years. When I first delivered Alabama's first taste of buffalo wings back in 1981, people thought I was crazy. For the first few years, I had to give wings away. Imagine that. 40 years later, I'm still proud to serve the great people and visitors of Alabama, our famous buffalo wings, and much more. Here's to 40 years of legendary fun, legendary food, and many, many more.
Main wreckage on the south side of the tracks. Report of male driver, late 20s, severe injuries.
Copy that. Can you see the vehicle?
No, it's way up there. I heard a witness say the stop arm was down, but he tried to beat the train anyway.
Too many drivers are killed crossing railroad tracks, even though they know a train is approaching. What they don't know is, even after it breaks, a train can take up to a mile to stop.
Requesting ambulance stretcher to shuttle crash victim back to the road.
Copy.
Stop. Trains can't. Paid for by NHTSA.
It's that time of the year again, Tuscaloosa Witches. Get your broom cycles ready for the 5th Annual Witches Ride on October 16th. Have fun and help the ARC of Tuscaloosa County raise money for new vans. Women 18 years of age and older are invited to participate. Ride or walk with us this year. Registration is $25 and you can register online at thearcoftuscaloosa.org or by calling 205-556-4900. The T-Town Witches Ride is presented by Moe's Original Barbecue.
See America in your new Burton Campers RV. Be certain with Burton. Burton Campers at exit 231 on I-65 in Calera. Nobody sells RVs for less.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Another gorgeous day is in store for Central Alabama. The rest of the week looks fine as well. Sunny, warm days through Friday. Clear, mild nights. Highs between 80 and 82. Overnight lows in the lower to middle 50s. A little cooler by the weekend, but sunshine will still rule. I'm meteorologist Bill Murray on Tide 100.9.
It's 51 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Softmark Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at softmarkdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. I want to remind you about the great folks over at Alabama One. Hey, if you happen to be in the Gordo and Carrollton, Pickens County area, good news afoot for you. We are going to 5 days a week as far as our branch opening. For those of you who are in that area, you are known that for the past couple of years or so, we've had one team managing two branches, but we now have two independent teams, Gordo and Carrollton, both moving to 5 days a week. Stop by and check us out at Gordo branch and our Carrollton branch of Alabama One, as well as any of our other branches, and find out about our great offerings and services to help you. Go to alabama1.org, click locations, and you can see all of our branch locations around the state of Alabama to better serve you. All right, Joe, I want to help you out. This is something that's kind of a pet peeve for me, picking up off that conversation. Now, you said that as you were making your statement about Dixieland Delight and so whatever, you said, well, I've never been African-American. I came up with a different upbringing, et cetera, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And you say that because, are you made to feel that you can't speak on it because you're not African-American? Is that correct?
Oh, no, I say that because I recognize that I think we're all shaped by our upbringing and experiences.
Right. So, but what I'm saying though is people will tell people, well, you don't know how I feel. You don't. Well, I mean, that's like telling a lady she can't coach football or she shouldn't be on the football field because she didn't come up playing. Most likely, 99. I know 99% of the women don't. You see what I'm saying? It's like we've made this thing of, if you haven't done exactly what I've done or been exactly who I am, you can't speak to it. There's an emotion that we call, that's called empathy, that allows me to, as much as I can, to put myself in your shoes and to learn perspective and try to see things from your side to better understand. So I just want people to understand is you don't always have to have gone through exactly what I've gone through to understand and be able to speak to a topic or subject or be able to help. Or we will never break down barriers, truthfully, if I have to have done what you've done in order to be able to do what you do or to help in that scenario. So that is something that, it frustrates me. But anyway.
And I got one last thing to add. I want to see what this coalition looks like. And secondly, are we really going to let people that are going to be here for 4 years leave and never come back to the state of Alabama, come to a football game, change our tradition for the people that actually live here and are truly a part of what Alabama is?
Yeah. And hey, who knows who this group is? But they have a website, so And to me, their website is bringing back and bringing up more stuff than most people even know and understand today. They're pulling off a scab that probably was, or creating a scab. Let's get to Robert from Mobile. Robert from Mobile, hey, listen, it's a Wildcard Wednesday. We're talking about the Dixieland Delight Coalition, delete the Dixieland Light Coalition, whatever they are. Don't know what your thoughts are. You may not even want to talk about that. So I'll bring you in with Xavier and I on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Oh man, you know me better than that. I'll hit the hot button issues with you in a minute. You guys are spot on. I mean, it's been great listening to you. You were right, Martin. I despise the notion that if you're not a man, you can't talk about pregnancy. If you're not a white, you can't talk about black people. You got black people, you can't talk about white people. You can have any opinion you want. It's America. Now, whether it agrees with your opinion or not, that's fine. I can disagree with your opinion, but to tell you, you don't have the right to say something because you're not X, Y, and Z. That's what I'm with, like you. Why we think so much alike? It drives me insane. You have any opinion you want. I'm not going to judge whether I think it's valid or not. I don't care what race or gender you are. You can speak on anything. If it's a valid opinion, I accept it. If I think it's valid, I accept it. If I don't, I reject it. That's how America works. And Xavier, spot on, 100% right, man. We're not going to let people come here to be here 4 years or 4 minutes and tell us what to do before we can think about Dixieland Light because you don't like it. Again, another opinion. You can have your opinion all you want to, and we reject your opinion. Well, I'm like you, Xavier. When I hear the song, I think it is a beautiful song to me. I enjoy singing it. I don't care about Dixie this and Dixie that. We have it in the past. Is what it means in 2022. What Dixie is 2022. When people vote with their feet, where is the great migration coming from? Is it coming from south to north? Or is all these northerners coming down south, in southeast? In spite of hurricanes, still bring their butts here. The movement, there's far more movement vans going from the north and from the west, from Chicago, New York, California, to the south, Texas, Alabama, Florida, Tennessee, way twice, 10 times more than they are leaving. So what are people saying when they vote with their feet? It's just another distraction, you guys. You're right.
They sure do love Dixie.
Yeah. Like our beaches, like our weather. In spite of the hurricane, they still bring their butts here. But it's a great conversation, guys, and I really enjoy it. And you're right. If they change that song, you will have a major revolt. It's a beautiful song. I love this. The tune is great. It's one of the few country songs I like to that degree. I like a lot of country songs, but that's one of the ones that's on my phone.
All right. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate it, man. All right. Hey, listen, Joe, just the irony of this story, I had not seen it. Yesterday, I sent out to one of my team members the following. What is the difference between unity and uniformity? Although many people think that the two words unity and uniformity are the same, there are several differences between them. It is first important to know their meaning in order to understand their differences. Unity refers to the union or harmony of a group of people, right? And uniformity is the state of always having the same form, manner, or degree. The key difference between unity and uniformity is their acceptance of differences. When there is unity, people tend to tolerate and accept differences, but uniformity implies that everyone is alike, so there is no room for differences. Do you understand that all of these people out here, and not all of them, I'm sorry, many of the people out here are talking about wanting unity and not wanting they want an inclusion. Actually, what they want is uniformity. They want everybody to think the same, act the same, walk the same, and be the same. The beauty of unity is I see your difference and I still celebrate who you are. I still connect with who you are. It is the fact that I look at you and say, hey, man, you're different. I am convinced that God created a beautiful bouquet of differences, and we need to embrace each one of those strengths and not trying to make all of them the same, and take pride in who you are and what you bring to the table. But that doesn't mean you demean the other side. And hey, listen, when the other side demeans you, stand up proud with your difference and do not give into it. But at the same time, don't let others tell you that unity is about all acting, walking, and talking the same. Man, I am as motivated by those who dislike me to shut them up by proving them wrong as I am by those who support me and tell me the same. It didn't matter which way it comes. I'm going to walk in the plan that God has for my life. I'd encourage you to do the same. Coming back on the other side, we got several phone calls, and we'll get to you guys and get this conversation going. Thanks, guys, for calling in. Be a part of the show. We'll get you going right here on the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard, right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
It's the Tuscaloosa Community Calendar, powered by Pepsi.
Reading Allies is a literacy program that helps below grade level readers rise to grade level standards through individualized community tutoring. They're in need of volunteers in Tuscaloosa. Volunteers work one-on-one with the same student for just 30 minutes per week for 9 weeks. Everything is prepared for the volunteers, so all you have to do is show up. Help Reading Allies give back to the Tuscaloosa community by signing up to volunteer at readingallies.org.
What QC Kinetics is doing for people here is nothing short of amazing. I'm talking real lasting relief from joint pain. Hey, it's Gary Harris. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting new pain treatments with advanced regenerative medicine, non-surgical alternatives. If you're living with joint pain from injury or arthritis, don't let them tell you steroids and pain meds and surgery are your only options. QC Kinetics uses regenerative treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue. Maybe you've been diagnosed with bone-on-bone arthritis and been told you need a replacement. Call QC Kinetics now for an alternative way to deal with the pain. These amazing protocols work with pain caused by injury as well, like a torn meniscus or rotator cuff. Call QC Kinetics now. Don't keep living with that pain. Learn how regenerative medicine can give you your life back with no drugs and no surgery. Call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation. 205-686-1941. 205-686-1941 with locations in Tuscaloosa and Birmingham. That's QC Kinetics. 205-686-1941.
Catch Little's Losers Friday nights during Friday Night Live on Tide 100.9, your home of Alabama football, and on the Tide Tailgate Show Saturdays on Tide 100.9. Brought to you by Boatworks in the old L&L Marine Building on Highway 82 West in Northport.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with Awakening. The team and I would like to invite you to this monthly community-wide praise and worship service featuring intimate worship and powerful preaching of God's Word. Please join us at the link, that's 610 Watermelon Road, Northport, Alabama, or watch online at Empowerment Ministries on Facebook. That's Awakening, powered by Empowerment Ministries, the third Thursday every month at 6:30 p.m. Please pray for us and join us if you can.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports, Xavier Houston.
All right, let's keep things rolling this morning. We got several calls lined up, and we don't have a lot of time, so I'll get to you. Get it going. Let's get things rolling. Mr. Pat, we want to welcome Pat in to the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning. Great start to the show. What a call from Mr. Robert in Mobile, Alabama. Wow. But hey, and I was on Joe's show yesterday, and I explained where Dixieland came from. It was from the Louisiana Purchase. The South was known as the land of the $10 bill, and DIX is French for 10, and that's where it came from. It has no racial connotations to it whatsoever. And a few jackasses down through history may have tried to change that, or may have tried to use it in a different context. And if they did, I'm sorry for what they did. But Dixieland has nothing to do with, and the Mason-Dixon line is actually the southern boundary of the state of Pennsylvania. It was actually drawn by two surveyors named Mason and Dixon. The Mason-Dixon line actually does not go across the United States and separate north from south. That's something that people down through history that hadn't studied history think. It's actually just the southern boundary of the state of Pennsylvania. That's all. And but anyway, enough of that crap. I want to talk about the football game.
Go ahead.
I want to know, do y'all think that being this is another week of practice for Jimbo's supposedly supermen across this defensive line? Are they going to be able to get to Bryce? Or to our Superman Jalen is my question. Whoever
they have
go ahead.
Worst defensive lines in the country. I think they're currently ranked 97th in rushing defense. So as much of the talent as they got, you can recruit the best guys in the world. If you can't coach them up, it doesn't matter much. And that's what you're seeing with Texas A&M.
Okay, so you think it's their defensive line coach that's got to be fired, not Jimbo?
$95 million. I don't think he's going anywhere for a little while.
It's going to cost a lot of money to get rid of him. Go ahead, Martin.
Well, the amount of money that they would have to pay him is not a whole lot of money for those guys. So you have to wonder how bad would it have to get for them to be willing to throw that much money in. But Pat, and I have to let you run after this, but he's definitely not in a great position. If he loses to us and then he's going to drop a couple more, he will be in a very precarious situation if not fired, and you won't hear a word out of him all next year till the season starts.
All right. Hey, y'all have a blessed day, Martin. Keep it up. You're doing great this morning. Bye-bye.
All right, thanks. Tom, you're in with the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier on Alabama One Hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, Martin, how are you? I was wanting to go back to the Dixie discussion, but if you're ready to move on.
No, remember, Sound Alabama Sports, your show, your team. It's tied in with this was done because of the Alabama football. I mean, this will, you know how everybody, Tom, talks about the member experience or the customer experience? Well, is that part of the member experience or the customer experience when you go to an Alabama football game?
Well, I'm one of these people that think that, well, first of all, Martin, and I think you'll appreciate this, I try to live a life based on guidance from Scripture. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Now, do I always make it? No, but I try. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And you know, there's a lot of things that are in the Bible that address this situation. First one and foremost to me is God is not a respecter of persons. That's number one with me, and that's a principle that comes through the Scriptures. And I always say that if everybody, you know, lived by that guide that God laid down for us, you know, this would be a lot better world. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. There's a scripture that talks about there's no longer Jew, Gentile, free, slave or free, male, female in the eyes of God. I'm like, all these people act like they're coming up with something in how you're supposed to treat people as people, and the scriptures have it written down as plain as day. And once again, it doesn't matter where you get the source from. Anybody from anywhere can take anything and make it into something if they don't put it in full context. And my scripture causes me to notice people and not whether they're male or female or Jew or Gentile or black or white, or whether they have money or don't have money. I notice people, and I try to treat people as humans, not as an object to get done what I want to get done.
And when the Bible teaches that God says, it's not a respecter of persons, He looks at people as souls, not skin color or any of those outward appearance type things. But I want to say this about, I would love to hear what Dr. Simon says. She kind of got this issue started, but I would like to hear her and her take on it and go from there. I think that would be interesting. Do you agree with that thought?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Well, Dr. Simon brought this subject up in a class at the university, and it was to teach advocacy and that sort of thing, and that's where it started in her classroom. Joe pointed that out yesterday on his show. That's kind of the source of this particular conversation. But I'm one of these people that believe that race conversations have not taken place in honesty and intellectual honesty at that, and over a long period of time, and has never really been fully addressed. I've got ideas I could go on years and years about, but think about this. Ole Miss were waving the Confederate flag over there for years. And it dawned on them that, when African-American kids were coming in on recruiting classes, their parents, maybe not the kids, but the parents were saying, that crap right there makes me sick at my stomach. You know what I'm saying? And
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and it happened, and Houston nutted out. He said, I can get players to come over here and you're waving the blame Confederate flag around and hollering rebel and all that kind of stuff like that. Well, rebel, the word rebel's got a history that goes all the way back to the beginning. But it has connotations when you couple it with a Confederate flag that is offensive to a large segment of our society. You follow where I'm coming from now? And
yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I'm just saying that
they eliminated it.
Hey, listen,
they eliminated it because it was offensive.
But there's a lot of things that can become offensive that are not offensive until we make them offensive by saying they're offensive.
Right.
And so there's things that on both sides of the coin that are offensive. And if we're not careful, we're not going to be able to say, do, or go anywhere in terms of not moving on. I always like to say, what's the solution? Everybody can be a problem pointer. Everybody can tell people what's wrong and what someone else should have done and what someone else did. Tom, I think the biggest thing, and you hit on it, that most people don't live in a world where they interact with each other on anything other than a surface when it comes to the different races and different sex. Rich people don't interact with poor people. Blacks don't interact with white, or people of color, etc. And then someone else comes and tells them what's wrong with the other one, versus them getting to know each other and experiencing it and then wanting to do something about it. So I got one more call I got to get to, Tom, but I appreciate that conversation. I hear what you're saying.
Brought that up.
Do what now?
I said I knew I shouldn't have brought that up. It's just too long of a conversation.
No, you're fine. That's not a problem. You should have brought it up. It fit with what we were talking about. Hey, and that's what you have to do, guys, as Tom was saying, is you do have to be sensitive to those you're recruiting. And if you're doing something that is offensive and you recognize it as such, then change it. It's that simple. know people, but if you know people's heart, you'll know if they meant to offend, right? There's a difference between doing something I have done and said things that are offensive and not realize it till someone told me, hey, Martin, you know that's offensive, and I could give you examples of things I've said or done, and then all of a sudden, even in the privacy of my home, that I realize, oh my God, that is offensive. That is prejudice, Martin. That is using something. You've heard that and not realized what it meant, and now you do. Are you going to continue to use it? No. So that's my biggest point. Let's bring in Super Joe. Super Joe, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir? You're Super Joe there? All right. Hey, X, I'll give you closing thoughts on this before we get to Scotty, and then I'll let Joe respond as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 31 years old, and I've never thought of anything other than just a word in a song. And even when I've looked at the word, I just looked at it from the standpoint of the regional location of where the University of Alabama is located and the success that they've had as a program.
And talking to a part of the country, not to a people.
Yes.
And taking pride in being from, hey, listen, I can't help where I was born. I was born in the South. So I want the South to be successful. And guess what? Hey, when it comes to football, we're the best. So that's what that song. And that's all I'm saying. Do what?
And Alabama is the best of the best.
That's right. So that's all I've ever taken it as. Go ahead.
No, that's just what I see. I mean, I don't think anything of it. And like I said, I want to know who's on this coalition because that's something when talking to Tom, and you said sometimes people try to tell us as African Americans what to be offended about.
Yep.
And secondly, I'm not going to let somebody from California, New York, Oregon, Washington, somewhere in the Midwest come to my state school and tell me what I can say and what I can't say in a song that's been around longer than they've been alive when they're never going to come back here after they walk across that stage.
Yep. Joe, any closing thoughts? Good job, X.
Oh, I just think it's an interesting conversation and to kind of hear all kinds of perspectives. I don't much have a lot of loyalty to the word in the song, but I also don't really think anything of it as being in the song. So I've just been interested to hear a bunch of different perspectives. And I do think that I am going to get Dr. Simon on my show probably in the next handful of days.
Okay. Yeah, and for me, I never even thought about it from that perspective, and and I played here, and saw it, and it never crossed my mind that was the purpose of it. So I think you can make some things that they are not. And that's what it sounds like. Hey, listen, we didn't talk much sports today. Curtis, we'll pick up your conversation. Stats are stats. We better be ready for A&M. I agree. We better be ready for A&M. They'll try to make their season, or as Saban said, they can all get well by beating us. Will this Alabama team be ready? I think we actually need what Jimbo did this summer, and I think that is going to be the edge that keeps this team focused, even though A&M is not having a great season. Revenge for the team from last year's loss and revenge or redemption for their coach is on this team's mind. We'll talk about that on tomorrow, along with recruiting. Coming up next, we'll have Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries, with the Christian Moment of the Week, powered by Empowerment Ministries.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Everything pretty quiet as we start this Wednesday morning. Of course, if you do see conditions folks need to hear about, just give me a call, 205-886-8886. Business is booming at Townsend Nissan, and they need help. If you're a people person, go see BJ or Kalen at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. More witnesses are expected later this morning in the Camille Cupcake McKinney trial ongoing at the Tuscaloosa Federal Building. Yesterday, a 14-year-old girl testified the suspect, 42-year-old Patrick Stallworth, offered her candy earlier in the day. Surveillance video of Stallworth in the area of the Birmingham apartment complex during the time the 3-year-old disappeared was also presented by the prosecution. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage. It's free. I'm Don Hart.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. If you're looking for a way to add value to your home, make your flower beds pop, make your landscaping stand out from your neighbors, then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help you do just that. They have numerous styles, but they feature the Moroccan Stone Curb series, which includes 4 great styles and unlimited color choices. That's Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing. They are the one that can help you stand out from your neighbors. Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, 205-331-6823. You may also find yourself with the need for a custom size stone or custom shaped stone. Then Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing can help with that as well. Paul Fuller and his team are waiting on your call right now for that free quote. And if you tell them that Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show told you to stop by, you'll get a big discount. So call Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing at 205-331-6823 or visit them online at Tuscaloosa Custom Curbing, LLC.
The roar of our engines, the pump of our heartbeats, the pedal to our metal, the sparks that ignite us, the pistons that push us, the passions that drive us. From the feelings that move us to the places that pull us on the roads that unite us. With nearly 6,000 stores and over 17,000 auto care centers, Napa has America's largest network of parts and care, here to keep you firing on all cylinders.
Tuscaloosa Locksmith sells key remotes, remote fobs, smart keys, car remotes, and Black Rifle coffee. They also do laser engraving. Tuscaloosa Locksmith, just off 15th Street behind the fire station.
Has the pandemic affected your business? Even with more and more customers going online in the past 5 years, online business has grown greatly due to the pandemic. Now more than ever, it's important to have a strong online presence so that customers can find your business and products easily. That's where Town Square comes in to help. Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free competitive analysis to see how your business stands up to the competition. And if you're one of the first to sign up, you'll get $500 in free advertising on this radio station. That's mylocalcustomers.com.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. It's now time for our Christian Moment of the Week with Scotty Hollins, powered by Empowerment Ministries, presenter of Awakening Ministries that happen every third Thursday of the month. Scotty, we kind of tight on time, so I want to just toss it to you and let you encourage us how to encourage us to incorporate our faith into our daily walk, whether we're in the boardroom, the classroom, or our chosen field of play, sir.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Martin. And I'm looking forward to continuing our series on the power to persevere. And Martin, we got to be honest, man. We all need the power to persevere. We all need help in this area. When you're going through difficult things, it is tough to persevere, man. It's so easy to just, have the poor me's. You ever hear that from the coach?
Absolutely.
And, just to be down and discouraged. And so I want to, rather than going into our second point, since we're a little short on time, I'm just going to just remind us of the passage that we're talking about. And it's Hebrews 12:1, which says, therefore, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, it says, hey, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily entangles us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. That's verse 1. And we're still kind of working our way through that slowly and, kind of carefully through this passage. We'll look at our second point next week. But actually, we'll look at verse 2 eventually once we get through verse 1, because that gives us further encouragement on the power to persevere. But I want us to think about just what Martin brought up last week. We talked about, this first point of, encouragement as it relates to persevering and having the power to persevere. It says, therefore, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses. Martin brought up a great point at the end after I had shared a few minutes. A great point about just, looking back as you think about, this great cloud of witnesses. These are people who have run the race before. as you think about Hebrews 12:1 saying, therefore, it points back to Hebrews 11, the whole chapter, which is the hall of faith. And it's talking about people who have run the race before. And it's looking at people like Daniel, people like Noah, people like, just all you think the greatest people in the faith in terms of people who went through tough stuff, but persevered. And here's a key thing, finished strong in the midst of the difficult stuff they faced. I want you to think about it's talking about them. Martin brought up a great point, which was thinking about, being a part of a team. So everyone, he talks about, representing God well in the boardroom, in the classroom, in the chosen field of play. Well, guess what? Wherever you are, whether it's the boardroom, the classroom, or the chosen field of whatever your chosen field of play is, you're probably connected to a team, right?
Right.
And you're probably connected to a culture, and you're also probably connected to people who've come before you and people who have done what you did before you. And guess what? Those people that came before you went through some tough stuff. One thing Martin brought up was just being a part of a football team and being a part of, playing for Bama and talking about how when he put on that jersey, he knew that there were people who had gone before him. There were many national championships that had been won before him, and he knew the standard, and he knew that, hey, they went through tough stuff. They went through 2-a-days too, and hey, you listen to the older guys, Martin, they say 3-a-days, don't they?
Yeah, I had one of those 3-a-day years.
Every day. What did you say, Martin?
I had one of those 3-a-day years.
Okay, there you go. But here's what he said. The point is, there are people who come before us who have persevered, who have not given up, who have fought. And the point of this passage is, if they finish strong, so can we. So I want to encourage you to think about people who have lived out their faith, all right, in the midst of just extremely difficult circumstances, and they never folded. And I want you to look to that person and remember that person include that person in your great cloud of witnesses and allow that person to be an encouragement to you and give you the power to persevere.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I think that we even saw that this past weekend. I posted a picture of Jalen Milroe reading his Bible before the game, and how in all of that chaos, he was centering himself around God's word. And then his response when Bryce got hurt, how he encouraged him and said, "Hey man, it's going to be okay. God got you." He said, "I had a talk with God." Think about what he had witnessed as a backup quarterback. How many times has Jalen Milroe seen, oh man, things are going bad, things are going wrong, and then he saw how Bryce responded when all the chaos happened and it went from 28-0 to 28-23. All Jalen Milroe did was go out there, keep playing, keep persevering, even though he had a couple bad drives, and turn and flip that game on his head with a 77-yard run. We don't think about that. A lot of people would have folded in that situation, and that's what we're talking about in terms of perseverance. And of course, there's a method to that, and of course, that's what we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks, Scotty, as you kind of walk us through how do we do that? Throw off the weight, beset those things that beset us and hold us back. So tell them where they can find you, sir.
Absolutely. You can go to www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. You can send me a message there. It comes straight to my email.
All right. Hey, that's Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries, presented by Empowerment Ministries, the presenter of Awakening Ministries every third Thursday. Thanks, Scotty. We'll catch up with you next week for more of the talk on perseverance.
Thank you, brother.
All right. Remember this. Trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. Always acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide out there, everybody. We'll catch you on tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.